Hello folks, how you all doing? Hope you're all keeping well. Right, in this video we are going to be fitting the injection pump back in the burner along with the injectors. So, two things we were hoping wasn't going to happen today. One, we were hoping it wasn't going to be that cold. It is. Two, we were hoping it wasn't going to rain. And obviously, it is. My own fault really. I've probably done my own legs by saying let's hope it doesn't rain this weekend. Either way, we will press on. This is the joy of back garden restorations. Whatever the weather, you just got to get on with it or the job will never get done. Right, let's see how fitting the pump goes. Just in case you're wondering, yes, it's still raining. Ah, the things we do for our hobby. We must be mad. Right, we're just starting fitting the injectors. Now, if you've never fitted diesel injectors before, had anything at all to do with a diesel engine, so your basic injector on a vehicle of this sort of age, obviously much more modern ones will look slightly different, a bit more streamlined. They go into the head and you have a copper washer that slides over the end there to seal them. Go into the head, get tightened down, and job's done, they're all sealed. So being AEC thought, well no, we're not going to add all that extra expense of just a copper washer. We're going to go one better. What we're going to do is, you can see there, we're going to actually put copper sleeves in. So there is no need for washers. They have copper sleeves already in the head. So when they tighten, they seal. Now, this has had injectors done before. I mean, it is 80 odd years old, so that's, you know, to be expected. But whoever fitted them previously probably wasn't aware, and it ended up there was two lots of copper washers also fitted on the injectors. Now the problem with that being the spacing on the injector's wrong. It's too far into the head, so it could possibly disrupt the spray pattern on the end of the injector. How much it has done, or if it did, we're not entirely sure. But you know, the thickness of a washer, and there was two of them on there, it could have had a slight impact on the way the engine was running. We will find out when we get started. Another reason they put copper washers on is possibly it would have been chuffing past the injector slightly, and that may have been a reason they'd done it. But we will put them back in without the extra copper washers. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to smear a little bit, tiny bit of Hylamar just around the end there to seal against the original copper sleeves. We'll get them tightened in, and well, once it's running, we'll see how they behave. Right, so what we're going to do is just going to get a small amount of Hylamar. Literally, it's just a small amount on the end there. Now, Hylamar is one of those fantastic products. It stops oil, it stops petrol, stops diesel. It's fantastic. Biggest problem with Hylamar is it's so bloody sticky. Once it's on your finger, it's on your finger. Pain in the backside. Right, so where these are all seized before, what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of copper slip just around the outside here to protect them so they don't hopefully seize back into the heads again. I'm hoping we won't have to take them out again. But never say never. It's an old vehicle. You don't know. Or you'll just give them a nice little coat of copper slip just to be on the safe side. Being careful just to stay away from the end where we put the Hylamar on. Now, that's all it wants. Just a little protective coat. Stop it seizing, stop it rusting in there. Inject. Just feels nice and snug. Also, on the studs, And if you want to go properly over the top like me, just a little bit on the end of the side of the nut as well. Belt and braces. When the next poor bugger comes to restore bird in another 50 years, they'll be able to get them out. What I like to do when tightening down is literally just go from side to side so they get evenly tightened down. The last thing I want to do is just go tightening one side down, and it may distort the copper basically slightly if you push too much on one side, so just evenly tighten it down. Right, they don't have to be very tight. I believe only about 25 Newton meters or something like that. To the best of my knowledge, there probably isn't a torque setting for them, but going on sort of, you know, slightly more modern vehicles, they're not overly tight. Plus, these also look like shear studs. The way they're sort of made, it does look like if you over tighten them, the bottoms will just snap off anyway. Just a smear, and be careful not to get it near the top of the injector. Up the top there is where all the little pinholes are, basically where the spray is. You do not want to get it anywhere near there. You get a bit of Hylamar in there, and that's going to be another injector strip down to get it out. Gosh, should be a painter and decorator. Right, 3 down, 3 to go. I won't bore you with the rest of that because they'll all be exactly the same. Right, that's all 6 injectors back in and the spill rail fitted. Next job now is going to be getting the injection pump on. So the injection pump basically sits on that cradle there. If you can just see there, that hole in the cradle is basically for a locating pin. That's the only thing that holds the pump into the place it's supposed to be. And on the bottom of the pump is that pin there, a locator. Now the front pulley, which is basically rubber lined on the inside there, stop the vibrations, slots straight over the drive there. Now we timed this all up before it was taken out, so hopefully it should slide straight back in. Our biggest problem being it's a bit bloody heavy and a bit awkward to get to. But once it's in place, you've got these two clamps here. They go underneath the carrier there, and the bolts go through there and through there, tighten up, and that's what's held in place. And then to adjust the timing, which is something we will have to look at, there is 2 bolts on that pulley. So the angle's a bit dodgy. Yeah, still not quite in focus. There we go, we're back in the game now. Right, 2 bolts on the pulley there. They just need to be slackened off, and that's how you check your spill timing. You can then rotate the front pulley. Well, that is a job for a little bit later, probably not in for today. So, I will not bore you with me installing the pump, because it could be a considerable amount of swearing when I'm just trying to line it up and put it in. Plus, I don't have enough hands. So on those jobs, I can't hold the camera and fit a pump at the same time. Right, 1 lift pump back on and 1 injection pump fitted. It is cold, it is miserable, it's just still raining. I'm now huddled inside the cab on my knees, because I've left my legs out, they're just going to get wet. So next job is the fuel pipes. I've removed the original metal fuel pipes right on there, and I'm going to replace them with copper. And I'm also going to put an inline filter just here before we get to the actual lift pump itself. Reason being, I do suspect there's quite a bit of crap in the fuel tank. Although it was drained, there's obviously some shite in the bottom of it still. So when this lift pump was removed, some brown gunky bits did come out of the end here. So we've cleaned out the little the strainer in the bottom of the lift pump again. We'll put an inline filter just before it to catch the worst of it, and we can just assess how bad it is. If it is really bad, then at some point the tank will have to come off, be drained, and then properly cleaned out. So that is the next step. But let's say the pump itself, the injection pump, is on. Timing marks are all lined up. So the injector pipes need to be fitted, and then the fuel lines. Then we'll need to do the spill timing on it, and then after that we should be good to go, he says. As per usual, fingers crossed, we'll be good to go. Well, just momentarily taking shelter under the back of Bernard. So it's funny enough, it's raining again. Yeah, I know, it's all day, pretty much. Oh well. Might as well try and do something. Anything. Okay, we're going to do the spill timing now. Now, what you need to do to double check the spill timing is, you first of all need to set the engine up to the right degree. Well, I say degree. Now, probably all modern diesels are basically set up by a certain amount of degrees. But this just goes to show, if I get a good light there, how old the technology is on Bernard. So, see all the markings there? They're not degrees, they are inches. So Bernard, spill timing is set up at 3.5 inches before TDC, which I think is absolutely amazing. So we're so used to sort of modern vehicles
being set up on degrees, but this is actually set up on inches. Just goes to show how old the technology is. So there we are. We are on our 3.5 inch mark, which is where we were when we originally took the pump out. So that's one of the jobs done. Next job now is to take the injector pipe off number 1, take the delivery valve out, and we'll actually check the spill time. Right, bear with me while I clamber out from underneath Bernard.
Right, just for a change, the spill timing is proving slightly more difficult than first thought. So, as you can see, the engine we know is already turned over to 3.5 inches before TDC. Number 1, we've taken the top piece off there. We've also taken out the spring and at the bottom the delivery valve. Now the idea being is you slacken the bolts on the pulley at the front here. You then should be able to rotate this pulley on the actual pump itself. So just as fuel is coming out the top here, we will put the top one of these back in to make it easier to see. So as it says, it's the spill, so fuel will start to seep out, and what you do is then you just adjust the wheel to the position where the fuel just stops from dribbling out, and that's basically the timing set up on it. The problem we are having is, although the 2 bolts are slackened off, the adjuster here just really doesn't want to turn, so it's going to make our life a bit more difficult. So we will put the end back in here, so it's going to be easiest for us to see the diesel coming up, and we will be tapping it very slightly just till the diesel starts to come out, and then we will back it off, and it will literally be a tap at a time because it's just not moving freely. Absolute sod's law. And the only way to get to it, of course, would be to take the whole injection pump off and take that piece out. Well, that's just not happening at the moment. Right, let me reassemble this and we'll set it up, and if I can try and show you how it's going to work. Right, what we've done is we have just used the hammer and screwdriver slightly just to rotate this. Now, if you can see, it's just literally just dribbling. So the idea being is now to back that slightly the other way, just so that dribble just stops. And like I say, it's proven a bit of an absolute pain in the backside. On the other hand, when you can tap it very slowly with a screwdriver and a hammer, you can see a bit easier just when it stops. So every cloud, possibly a silver lining. So we need to make sure the fuel is primed up, which it is. I'll just re-prime it and you can just see it's just dribbling slightly. So I need to just back that pulley the other way slightly, keep the prime going on it, and just till it stops, and that's where we need to be. Right, we have just backed it off ever so slightly. We'll just prime it up so it's under pressure, and as far as I'm concerned, that has stopped, and it's not too far out from our original markings as well. So Phil did say it would need to be retimed after he'd rebuilt the pump, and let's say it's only fractionally out from where it was before. But then again, who's to say it was timed up right the first time? Right, I'll put the delivery valve back in and the pipe back on, and we'll get it fired up and see what happens. Right, well, that's the fuel system all plumbed back in now. So as you can see, I have put an inline fuel filter just down there before the lift pump. Right, the idea behind the filter, there's 2 reasons. One, as I said previously, there was some crap that had been drawn up from the tank in the strainer on the lift pump. So this will now hopefully catch any bits of rubbish that do come through, and we'll be able to monitor how dirty the tank actually is as to whether the filter needs changing, you know, on a regular basis. If that is the case, obviously we'll be taking the tank off and cleaning it. Also, if you remember previously, we had an issue where if Bernard had been standing for a little while, it's almost like we had a bit of an airlock. Well, not an airlock, sorry, but air going into the fuel system somewhere, because fuel seemed to be draining back. So this will also, we'll be able to keep an eye on it. Obviously, being a clear plastic filter, we'll be able to see if any air bubbles coming up, whether it's drawing in from this point back to the tank somewhere. So that is something else we can monitor. I've also put in another little check valve. So there's a one-way valve there. There is one already on the lift pump itself, but I haven't spoken to a couple of people about it. They can be a bit temperamental, especially at this sort of age, and if there's any sort of dirt that has got through, they do tend apparently to stop working quite easily. So I've just put an inline one, again, just sort of bit of testing purposes really, to see if we have any more issues with the fuel system with Bernard, whether the fuel is flowing back or not. So that's where we are there. So this build timing is done. I suppose now, really, we should go around and see if he starts up. Can't put it off any longer. You break my bloody neck. Right. Let's just close the engine lid down for a second. Right, we're in. Never a 5-minute job on any Matador. Okay, we're in neutral. We have ignition light. Right, let's see what happens. Close, but no cigar. Right, we've got to remember that the entire fuel system's been apart, so I've bled out what air I can, but it's still going to take a bit more work. Come on, Bernard, back to life! Come on, Bernard. You know you want to. You're almost there, but not quite. Come on, get that air out. Oh, you're just playing hard to get now, aren't you? You really are. Oh, there's smoking. Right, we're going to run it up, wait till it gets warm, and then do our adjustments. Well, so far, sounds alright. Alright, we've waited and warmed up, see what happens. Right, burner's been ticking over for about an hour, maybe an hour and a quarter. I've set the idle to where I think it should be, and the regulator, and he is sounding considerably smoother than he used to. So, still a little bit smoky, but a good road run at some point should clear that. Well, a couple of things got in our favour. Air pressure's built up nicely, which is good. And we know the pressure relief valve is working on the outside. Good. Right. Now we need to test where the throttle is stopped, where the throttle stop, if it's set in the right place, can we turn the engine off? Yes. Happy days. So, idle seems to be fine, throttle stop is good. So it's been running for, yeah, over an hour now. Let's see if he still starts again. Lovely. Sounds good. Right. Fingers crossed that is another job ticked off the list. Until we find the next fault, of course. There's always another fault. It's had a good warm up now. Still a bit smoky, but don't sound too bad. Well, charging light's still on, it's a bit annoying. Well, that's the end of this video. One overhauled injection pump and injectors fitted. I would just like to thank Phil again for all his hard work in what he done. It is very much appreciated. You're an absolute credit to the Matador world. So, was the job straightforward? Yes, it was. The removing and refitting, yeah, not a particularly difficult job. The spill timing obviously was a little bit of an issue. Had I known that the adjustment had been seized before the pump gone in, we would have resolved that problem, but nonetheless, we still got round it. Is it the ideal way to do spill timing? No. Would I recommend anyone else to do it that way? No, definitely not. Like I say, hindsight's a wonderful thing. If we'd already known, we would have fixed the problem to start with. So, if you have enjoyed this video, please tick the like. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. Right, this is probably going to be the last video I'm going to be doing for Bernard, but like I say, if you have subscribed, please stay subscribed to the channel, because there are other projects I do have. At this precise moment in time, I can't financially afford to continue anymore with Bernard. He is continuing to throw up problems at every single turn. We've now come to the conclusion that the engine itself is most likely going to need a rebuild. It would appear that the rings are on their way out, basically. Since the injection pump's been fitted and it's been run up, we're now starting to burn more oil than we did before. So it is looking most likely like it's going to be an engine rebuild, which at the moment I simply can't afford. And working in the back garden here, it's just not practical. You know, when you start doing an engine rebuild, removing, refitting something this size, you really need to be in a workshop where you've got dedicated equipment to do the job. So unfortunately, I don't. But hey ho, that's just the way life goes. So I hope that I have got Bernard now to the point where someone else can take it on as a running and driving project. I'd like to think the hard work, if you like, has been done. It's now down to someone else to take on the financial responsibility for Bernard, which I'm sure someone will. It's a great vehicle. If you've watched all the previous videos, you will know that, you know, it's a nice early Matador. It's chassis number 248. It is well worth saving. So there's going to be someone out there who's going to want to take on this project and do it proud. Right. So I don't speak to you or see any of you soon. Have a good Christmas, good New Year, and hopefully I'll be back within the New Year with some different projects. All right, take care.